It only took us like 25 different setups to figure out how we were going to film this.
Yeah, and we just simply decided to.
You got the
sit at
kitchen.
table.
We know why you're all here. Because everybody wants to know, what is the skitty on me and Donnie?
We were on a break.
For those of you who know, I was once married to his brother. And then 2 years ago, I believe it was in April. It was in March that me and his brother separated and decided we were filing for divorce. The divorce didn't come until much later, but we were for sure, after 15 years, you pretty much know when you say you're filing that it's done. A month later, Donnie was already living with us at the time. And a month later, Donnie and I decided to commit to raising our kids together.
One of the things that we've always felt is one of the mistakes that have popped up from the past, and I'm definitely learning from now, is who you bring around your children. Mm-hmm. You know, and I was actually going through a divorce myself. She had begun hers herself. So we were just in this place where, like, okay, we love our children. You know, we don't want to bring anybody new or a stranger, or just decided to raise our kids together.
Yeah, so we just like kind of made a commitment to each other. Donnie and I always maintained a really good friendship. He and I were always closer than just your typical brother and sister-in-law. Like, we just were really good friends. So yeah, we committed to raising the kids together. At the time, we were living together, so we thought, well, what does that look like? Either we will continue to live together, or we can do it from separate houses. You'll go your way, I'll go mine. Regardless, we'll have each other at the end of it, and our kids will have, like, his kids would have a mom, my kids would have a dad that way, and we wouldn't have to really worry about new people coming in and out.
Yeah.
So that's kind of how Donnie and I started. Just a little backstory there. The truth is, Donnie and I always had a connection. We always had an attraction to each other, but when you're married to one's brother, you don't pursue certain attractions. It's just not quite appropriate. Even for this girl, there's just certain things you don't do. So,
lines you don't cross.
Yeah, there's just certain lines you don't cross. And so once we were both at a place where we could pursue that, we had a makeshift family or pre-made family. My girl Jerica likes to call it the Hodge family 2.0. Yeah. And then we had Victoria. It was kind of like, well, we had given it a little bit of thought if we would live together, but the romantic aspects just didn't seem feasible or possible. It seemed almost cosmic, fate, if you will. Our lives were kind of forced together, and we already had a strong connection and vibed very, very well together and raised the kids beautifully together. And so we decided to give it a go. We thought, we'll put God first, and maybe this was God's doing. Maybe he put it together, and we had a vision. We had a purpose. So that brings us to the fun, juicy part of this story, which is we moved out in love, happy, in love, and moved into this house that we're in now, and all hell broke loose.
Literally. Like, just what's going on? Blinders are on. Can't see. Like, what?
Yeah, we had attacks coming out of nowhere, and one of the attacks, which will be also a separate video, is Donnie's journey with addiction. That was a part of what was going on. Donnie's got his own story with that too, his own testimony, what God's done in his life. And it was something that really was derailing us, kind of from that focus I'm talking about. And then outside voices, outside influences, you know, his ex-wife, my ex-husband, other people, family members, people who mean well, who would speak into the situation or speak about the situation, and it was just causing a lot of turmoil. I fought with him in a way I've never fought with anybody. I'm not a ghetto girl, but he has seen some ghetto. I'm talking, if we're just being real candid, you know, yelling, screaming. I threw ice at him once. Over really things that felt very important to me at the time, but now looking back seem petty. So, needless to say, we had a lot of strife and contention between us. We met well, cared a lot about each other.
Absolutely.
But when they say the first year is your hardest, it really is. And for us, you have to understand, we lived together for over a year.
Yeah.
So we kind of had like, we knew how to be friends. We knew how to be co-parents. We had all that down, I think, pretty good. But when it came to like learning how to be in a relationship and love each other, this was moving here was our first chance to really kind of get to do that. I don't think we knew what we were doing.
Not fully. I mean,
we still may not fully know what we're doing. But, yeah, so we moved here. We joined our family together. We had a big this is our family, and this is the vision that this family is working toward. And we stood firm on it for a little while. And like I say, all hell broke loose. And it just seemed like, without getting too over spiritual, it just seemed like a fog or a cloud came over him. And I was so driven and had so much purpose. I had a passion and a vision, and I was kind of on something. And then he seemed to, I guess, kind of get derailed from that for a while. I don't know. You could probably speak better to like what you were going through during that time, but
I had typical guy moments, like just not paying attention where I needed to pay attention to, focused in all the wrong areas, focused on myself. I mean, they're perceived as typical guy moments, but there's something deeper with that, especially when it comes to people who you truly cherish and love. I do truly cherish and love you.
Would you say it was like maybe a little bit of selfishness at that point?
Yeah, it was.
And I only say that, like, I'm not being mean. This is stuff we've talked about. So we both agree, like, we just moved into it so fast.
Yeah.
I think that's like...
Skipped a bunch of steps.
I think that kind of was our problem. Okay, so here's where I'm probably going to say something and tick some people off. I don't care. It's just the truth. I was raised in church my whole life. And religion, I think, really dictated how Donnie and I did things the first time around. I think religion caused us to go, okay, we're living together, so that must mean that we must get married, and we must, like, hurry up and get married so that we can make this right. And, like, you're my husband and you're my wife.
Take the title, jump into the role, like, go head first, not thinking about exactly what you're jumping into.
And so I was so used to that because I literally, like I said, it was like, I wasn't even single. I was 30 days, and then I'm in a new relationship. I'm kind of used to that, and I didn't want my marriage to end. I fought for my marriage for over a decade, 10 years of it. I was praying and fighting for it, whereas he had kind of let go of the concept of marriage. So we both kind of went into this very different perceptions. I wanted to be the wife and have the house and to have the family and to have the vision and be in ministry together and do all these things, whereas he was just like trying to figure out what it was he wanted, period. So that brings us to the fact that we were
on a break.
Anyway, but everything works to good. I'm glad it happened. I'm glad now that it happened, because the old cliche and adage of you never know what you've got until it's gone. And
that was true on both ends here. On this end of things, when during this breakup, when you have to take the time to do self-evaluation, recognize your own faults, recognize what is your fault, and you have to own it. Yeah. And when you own it, it's supposed to humble you.
He needed that time for self-reflection. I wouldn't say I did much self-reflection, to be honest with you, which was my downfall. So he was having a humble moment where he was being drawn to the Lord, repenting, apologizing to God, realizing what he had done wrong, wondering how he got there, how he became that person. God was showing him how he became that person, while I was over here kind of in this attitude of like, you're the one that's messed up. You're the one that did wrong. I'm okay. Until God allowed some things to come into my life that humbled the crap out of me. I was sitting in the bathtub one night just sobbing over a situation that had happened. Heartbroken, wondering how my life had gotten here. Why do I always see everything this way? Get my feelings hurt. And I remember thinking the only person who ever seemed to really know my feelings ever in life was Donnie. And I was in the bathtub just praying like, God, it's too late. I feel like it's too late. There's so many trust issues now with us. I'm angry at him because we had this plan and I felt like he ruined it. And like, how do I get past that anger? Especially when I was already bitter and angry from the kid's dad, if I'm just being honest. We kind of expressed to each other that night how we felt.
Yeah. So
this would have been like first November, couple weeks in November. first couple
Yeah.
weeks in November. And we just sat down and we just kind of explained to each other. He was telling me all the praying he had been doing, all the repenting he'd been doing, the way he felt, but he was scared to say it because he didn't want me to think it was like some manipulative tool to get me back. If he had said during that time, like, oh, God's showing me this or God's showing me that, would I have thought, oh, whatever, you're just trying to say what I want to hear to get me back?
I didn't say a word until that night.
He didn't say a word. He was my best friend. When the Bible says, no greater love has any man than this, than to lay his life down for his friends, I thought I saw how much Donnie loved me when we were in the like ooey gooey like relationship thing, but I didn't really see how much he loved me until we weren't together. And he had every right to be angry and mad, especially about some of the decisions and choices I was making, which I tried to always include your feelings in that and tried to always make sure, like, to tread softly.
We talked about everything still.
We talked about everything, even in that, like, everything, to the point where I was making people angry. But he was my best friend, so I was almost scared not to. It was like I needed his counsel. I needed his advice. Somehow in my gut, I knew no matter what decision I made, he would be honest and he would tell me. Like, if I was making the wrong one, I knew that wasn't just his ploy to get me back, because he genuinely didn't believe he could during that time. Like, he'd messed up so bad, I could never forgive him.
Yeah.
And I'll be honest, I never truly felt that. I was just more like, what's it going to take for him to, like, make me the priority that I feel like I need to be made? And that seems like such a selfish thing to say, but having gone through what I've gone through, I feel like that's exactly where God wanted me to be. And I'm glad he kind of put me there to kind of put my foot down and say, no, this is how I deserve to be treated. And it wasn't until other people in my life, I'm not just talking about romantic relationships, but family life, everything, people really started treating me bad. Kind of all at once, I was kind of getting attacked. And as Donnie would be there for me and kind of help walk me through, and I'm going through these emotions during this time, this is before we kind of confessed to each other that we were still having feelings for each other and missing each other and all that. Just being friends. He would watch me go through this, and God was kind of giving him that mirror image of like, look, that's kind of how you made her feel, right? Yeah. Like, and I don't mean to make it all sound like it was just all Donnie's fault either. I think I added extra pressure. I had a lot of healing still to do for my marriage. Donnie and I believe differently than some people. We believe that you're supposed to heal each other. A lot of people believe you need to be whole before you can get into a relationship. Mm-hmm. That's cool if that's what you believe, but I believe differently. I believe people are created to heal each other, and you can't do it alone. Anyways, so, drum roll. I can't do it. You're the drummer. Do a drum roll. That was...
Countdown. 3,
2,
1.
What you were all waiting to hear. Where are we now? What is going on with us?
Where we're at is that we're on we're twin flames. We are perfect soulmates.
You don't know what that is, Google that. Twin flame. Twin flame love.
We are twin flames. We are made from the same fire.
And he's my person. He's my lobster.
I like being your lobster.
This is us. This is why we were on a break and where we are now. They're going to be like, you didn't answer our question directly. Are y'all together? Well, we're right here. Mm-hmm. He's together. Here. He's real. I'm real. We're living in our house. You're watching us on YouTube. Okay. We'll see you next time.